Hello, Emoji. I don't even know what to say. Hello, my friends, Emoji Brothers. This is Bonnie Emoji Gaming here, and welcome back finally to another normal video. I haven't really been making normal videos. It's more of I haven't felt like it, and it also has to tie in with my wrist. I've talked about this quite consistently on Discord to some of my friends and in the community posts that I fractured my wrist about 4 or 5, probably 6 weeks ago now, and I actually get to take this off. This is a brace. Today, we will be reviewing Scream 6, which I just saw in theaters at the time of recording this yesterday. Scream 6 is obviously the 6th film in the popular horror Scream franchise, which is one of my favorites, actually. I'm actually a big horror fan, because it's been one of my life's greatest things ever. I know they're insane movies, but they're great. Alright, especially Scream. It was so good. I made a review on Scream 5 last year in January of 2022, and a couple months before that, in October of 2021, I ranked the first 4 Scream films from worst to best, and now we're going to be talking about Scream 6. It's going to be a short ranking at the end of this where it lands, so we're just going to get right into it. There will be spoilers throughout this video, but I will let you know when there's spoilers, and there will be a timestamp, and there will be no spoilers, and most of the table of content topics will be going here, but when it gets to the in-depth parts, that's where you may want to skip if you don't want to be spoiled for the movie, but I'll leave a timestamp. Plot summary. This is no spoilers. This is just like the basic plot, like nothing major. Like, you could get this from the description of the movie, so basically it's just a description. Scream 6 is actually a change in the setting, which I actually think was really good and cool. Instead of taking place in Woodsboro, California, they go to the east coast of New York City, the Big Apple, Manhattan. Pretty crazy city it is. And someone starts trying to copy the kills and starting to terrorize what appears to be they're trying to make a new cast. The 2 original characters from Scream 5, Samantha and Tara, which I actually think are pretty good. We will get into them later. And basically they're trying to live a new life and stuff like that, and things go wrong. And I feel like the setting of New York is a big fresh up, because using Woodsboro multiple times and thinking, why didn't they move? I mean, Sydney kind of moved in the old movies, but like, hey, it was really good to just switch it up completely, because the old movies still took place mostly around the theme of Woodsboro. This switched it up. This left Woodsboro and went all the way to the East Coast, and I thought it was really good the way they switched it up. Now we're gonna get into the cinematography. Once again, like most, if not all, modern movies, it's stunning. Scream 5 had that really new look to it, and this is just my opinion. It had a really new look to it, and it kind of felt cold. You know, that cold movie feel. You know what I'm talking about? The temperature look. It had a lot of that to me. This did much better with that, and it felt more balanced and better. I don't know if it was just the setting. It looked much better. The cinematography, they improved on it. Now let's get on to the acting. Once again, the acting, with a couple things that we could take away, is pretty good. I mean, especially with the intense scenes. I mean, they kicked it to 11 with the intense scenes. Now, outside of the intense scenes, there's a little bit of dialogue, stuff like that that could have been left out, but maybe because I'm part of the younger generation that I don't really mind it and stuff like that. Just, y'all get into what I'm talking about. But besides that, the acting I thought was pretty good, especially in the final act. Things go insane. Positives. I'm going to say my positives without any spoilers, so nothing that you gotta skip here, just what I really liked. I feel like that the kills were very brutal, but they were balanced to me. Like, they weren't Saw levels of brutality. This was still, with that, pretty grisly. It wasn't like gore, but it was more intense. Like, it was just very violent. They made the killers pretty intense, and I feel like the way they made them intense actually fit the killer's personality, which I will get into who it is later in the spoilers, which I'm not going to say now. Like I said, the cinematography, the acting, those are all pretty good positives. The characters were actually a pretty good highlight. I feel like there was only like a couple that, like, there's this one guy I'll get into that he doesn't amount to much, and he barely does anything. That he was just like there, but most of the characters, like basically all of the characters that returned from Scream 5, were done much better. Like, two of the characters, especially one of them that appeared, I think his name is Chad, like the guy that gets stabbed in the Scream 5 and survives, and he's back in this one. In that movie, he was just like the jock. He was just there. This one, they actually made him very, very, much better. Like, he was actually done very, very well, and I actually cared for his character and stuff like that. He was really good. Like, they ironed out and made what they did with the last movie, or new characters, better. And so much that the OGs, I wasn't even focused much on them, but I will get into that. The setting, them being in New York, is also another positive. Ghostface, they did a new style, because Ghostface, his design is really not, it's really hard to mess up, but they kind of changed it up a bit, and very, very little, though. Now, the way they changed it up, it's a bit iffy. I'm not saying this is a negative, I'll get into that, but I feel it was a good refresher to the change. I say it's one of the most intense of the franchise. Now, let's get on to the negatives. Now, if I forgot any positives, sorry, but that's all the negatives I can list right now. I can't really get into some of the negatives without spoiling. The third act of the movie, it was good. I'm not saying it was bad, but it kind of went a little too far for Scream. Like, I'm not saying like it was, oh my god, like it wasn't like brutal or anything. It wasn't brutal, like too far in terms of brutal, but like the idea, it was just too out there a little bit. It wasn't terrible. No, not the worst thing I've seen. Definitely not. I mean, still better than Scream 3. We will get into that later. How they did one of the killers, they don't really explain that well. A few dumb mistakes throughout the movie, but it's a horror movie. People are going to make very, very dumb mistakes. There was this one part, without spoiling anything, they had this little scene with one of the actors come in, a little pretty interesting thing. It was very, very similar to what they did in the last movie, except they downgraded the quality. Like, the actor didn't even look like who was supposed to, and I feel like it wasn't horrible, but that was probably one of the biggest negatives of the movie, because like it looked weird. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Now we're going to get into the spoilers part. Skip to the timestamp on screen if editing Bonnie remembered to put the timestamp, because I will be going in depth. I will not be talking for like an hour here, but I will just be skimming through the movie to explain some things and my take on it. The movie starts off like all Scream movies. It starts with a phone call.
Hello?
I'm sorry, I guess I dialed the wrong number.
Instead, this one doesn't start with Ghostface. This one starts with a good person named Reggie, who's calling this film professor, I forgot her name, some British woman that's at a bar. She looks very worried here, and I don't know what it is. And he's basically calling like he's trying to meet up with her just to talk. We never see him, though. He's trying to look for the bar she's in. He says, she says it has red on it, and he's like, oh, I don't see it. So she walks out, and she says, no, it definitely has red on it. And then he's like, oh, I'm still like a block away from you. So he says, oh, there's this alleyway that I'm gonna cut through so I can get there. He's like, wait, I think I see you, and it's not her. And you don't see any of this. You don't see what Reggie's seeing. But basically he says, wait, this guy is walking towards me. Oh, he's coming after me. And then something happens to him, and this girl starts walking into the alleyway, and then it cuts to Ghostface, again portrayed by Roger L. Jackson.
Hello?
Let's play a game.
I feel like he sounded much more similar to the original to me in this one, but even in Scream 5, he sounded phenomenal. Ghostface says, "Don't you know, in a horror movie, you don't walk down an alleyway?" It's funny because I was saying, me and my, because I went to see with my dad, and we were both saying, "Oh, go walk in an alleyway alone," and then he quotes that, which is funny. And things go to 100 pretty quickly because whoever this guy is knows that she's a film professor. Right off the bat, she gets attacked by Ghostface, and this is what I'm talking about by violent. Is it's not gory, but he's like boom, 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 like very intense. And I'm like, that's just, and she's on the ground, boom, hitting her, and she's screaming badly. And this is when the movie takes a crazy turn and actually shocked me. This is when she's bleeding out, and the Ghostface killer actually takes off his mask and shows who he is, and it's this guy called Jason, which is a nod to Jason Voorhees, one of my favorites. And he has like long hair, and that's a shock because they've never done that. They've never shown who the killer is right off the bat, and he just takes off the costume, throws it there, and I guess leaves the knife there, I think, and just puts on a backpack and walks away like nothing happened. And he's walking down the street, and apparently it's Halloween because there's people in costumes walking down New York City. And then he walks into Tara, which is the girl who got attacked in Scream 5 but survived. So basically one of the main characters. And I think they asked about a party, I forgot. Something like that. Generic dialogue. Just common conversation. He goes to his apartment, and I guess like he's calling out to his roommate, he doesn't hear, and then he has this little stash of like a bunch of Ghostface masks. He puts the one that he killed with, which actually has a blood stain on it. So he took the mask, and so it has her blood on it, and puts it on this little mask hanger. Then he goes to watch Jason Friday the 13th Part 8, which is actually probably one of the worst Friday the 13th ever. Then he gets a phone call, and it's from Ghostface. Well, the other killer. Apparently, they're in cahoots. He's like, oh, I did it. And he said, like, oh, when I stabbed her, she didn't feel human anymore. And then the other guy, the guy who's leading all this, the smarter one, goes, you know, she was still human. And then apparently they talk about that their plan is to kill Tara and Sam, so they know who they are, and they're following this. He's running around his apartment, they're playing hot or cold, see where am I, it gets warmer. Eventually it leads to his fridge, where it gets probably one of the most brutal parts of the movie, where he opens the fridge and plays a Pamela Voorhees Part 2 thing, where instead of just a head, though, it's I think his roommate's entire body. And it's not brutal, but there's like a leg and stuff like that. It's horrid. And then Ghostface comes behind him, and this guy gets messed up. Jesus Christ. This guy gets brutalized. And, oh, he don't mess around. And I'm pretty sure, I think Ghostface talks to him in this part. Like, he actually talks to him here while he's killing him. And there's actually a plot point that my dad figured out halfway through the movie. And he kills him, and then the title plays. Then it cuts to, I think they're just the classic. There's music, everything, all that stuff. And then I think it cuts to Sam, who is the sister of Tara from the last movie. She's actually going through therapy. The other thing is to keep in mind that Sam is Billy Loomis's daughter. Billy Loomis is the original killer from the original Scream. So this already makes it much more shady. And apparently this actually shows how brutal and bad social media can get with like rumors and everything. And this is actually this can happen in real life. People have apparently made rumors that she was the one who killed everybody in last year's Scream 5. And the Scream 5 situation where there are two actual killers of Scream 5 were framed and she did brutally kill one of them, but she didn't turn bad or anything and stuff like that, and they made it up because they used her being the daughter of Billy as an excuse. And somebody started rumors saying the real people who were the killers weren't killers, and she was the one who did it all. And she explains in detail on what she did to her boyfriend, who was the killer. And the therapist is like, nope, 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 and just says, no, you gotta go. And she leaves. She goes back to her apartment where there's this the popular girl getting with all the guys, lives there with her. Her name is Quinn. I think it's like red-haired or blonde chick. I don't know. And her sister Tara's not there. And she asks Quinn, like, where is she? And apparently Tara went to some party with her friends, with Chad and some other kid, this new character, Ethan. And Sam is obviously not happy by this because she's still traumatized from what happened. I mean, like, you survived a brutal serial killing, so, I mean, that makes sense. And she goes off because she thinks Tara's in danger. Tara's having fun, and she's at, like, the drink thing, and this, like, popular dude comes up, trying to hit on her. His name is like Frankie, and they're trying to get a drink, and then he goes, you know what, I think I got this bottle up in my room, and she agrees to it, which shows she is already trying to move on from the situation. So she's more like Sydney, she just doesn't care. Mindy, who's basically the new Randy, she's chilling with her girlfriend. Mindy and Annika see Tara being pulled away by this guy. And Annika tries to walk up, and they try to stop him because, I mean, like, that's not okay. I mean, that's weird. So they can't stop him, so they pull in Chad, who's still the jock. He's still strong. Chad comes up and says, nope, she ain't going up there. And Frankie shows that he's actually a real jerk because he tries to force her. They get into a fight, and Sam shows up. And this is hilarious. This is actually good. And she goes, she said, hey, mind if I tase you real quick? And boom, right in the no area. And that guy's out of commission. And this doesn't make Tara happy, though. Tara is very upset with Sam because she's like, oh, you're stalking me. So they go out of the party, and Tara basically tells Sam to let her go. Stuff like that. When Sam's just trying to be protective, I totally understand. It can be annoying, but sometimes you gotta understand that they're just trying to protect you. And then some annoying, I guess, teenagers come by, and they splash a drink on Sam and get her aggroed, and they're recording the whole thing with all their cell phones, all 24 Gen Z culture, stuff like that. And Sam tries to get at them, doesn't try to hit him, but she gets pulled back by her friends. And they're, like, calling her murderer, stuff like that. And even the people at the party were like, hey, that's that psycho chick that did that massacre last year. Stuff like that. So the rumors are all the way in the East Coast. And she's obviously very upset. Tara leaves. Everybody starts walking away. Ethan stays behind and is like, hey, I got some tissue. He's trying to be the nice guy, basically like that. Yeah, they're all back in the apartment. And this is, like, where we get a small, almost romance scene where it seems like Chad's starting to like Tara, and they almost get into it, and then that popular girl Quinn walks in and interrupts it, and even Quinn's like, oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? And then Tara's like, shut up. And then they get the news report of what happened to that Jason guy, which I don't think is documented as a murderer. Oh yeah, I don't think he is. And this is when things start to get serious. They start to try to leave the place, and I feel like either before this happened, or like then the next scene we get the next kill. This like I feel like there's I think they were talking about the police station, stuff like that. They're talking about Quinn's dad is a police officer in the NYPD, stuff like that. But Sam and Tara, they're leaving the apartment to go to the police station because they're being called there by their dad about the case. And this is when things go insane. Sam gets called by Richie, which is the killer from the last movie, her boyfriend. And apparently she never deleted the contact, which I would in a heartbeat. Unless you can't let go, but he's a murderer. You wouldn't want to let go of that as soon as possible. I mean, maybe I don't understand. I've never been in that situation, thankfully. I've been in a similar friend or letting go situations, but not like that. And it's Ghostface, obviously. Ghostface is, like, also putting up the rumors, like, you're a murderer, and you're gonna die, stuff like that. And things pull a Scream 1, and immediately these two are attacked on the street. And this is the popular scene that was shown in the trailer. So they're running, they go into this convenience store, you know what I'm talking about. And the convenience store owner is actually very, very chill. He's like, oh, no, lock the doors, go out the back door, stuff like that. Ghostface walks in, and he takes no chill.
Please help us. You just found her. What's
There's a line here, girl. You got a problem here, guy?
But the convenience store owner takes no chill either. He pulls out a shotgun, and he misses, and Ghostface is like, oh, I gotta hide, so he tells him to go out the back door. He's like, he wants these two people to be safe. He's like, this guy's a hero. He's trying to be a hero, and he's trying to get the keys off his belt, and this is when Ghostface takes him off guard, brings up, hits him with the back of the shotgun, takes it, and I'm pretty sure he actually stabs the owner, and then he shoots him. Now, we've never I don't think, no, we've had a gun kill, but not like that, not a shotgun. And this is where I'm talking about the design that I was talking about earlier, is the mask is weathered, like it's old. Not like Halloween 2018 levels of weathered, but there's like little particles, it's aged a bit. But it's still, like, you can recognize it. That type of Ghostface upgrade, like, I'm good with that. Like, that's not too different. Now Sam and Tara are hiding between the aisles, and he's looking around with the gun, stuff like that, and eventually they take advantage of this, and they push an aisle over on him. And he actually shoots the gun, but misses, because he shoots it up the air. And this is when they get out. And then the police show up, and they see the mask was actually left at the scene, and they see it's weathered and everything. They understand that. And this is when they go to the police station finally, and they talk with her dad, Quinn's dad, and about all this situation. And I don't think Quinn's dad's really believing that Sam is a murderer, but they definitely don't want them leaving town because they're not part of the double murder suspect. And now, this is when they made a decision that I was so happy that they did this. They brought back a phenomenal character from Scream 4. Kirby Reed returns as an FBI agent. Yes. Kirby was so good in Scream 4, and I'm so glad they brought her back as an FBI agent, and a very big plot. Like, she's apparently been doing investigations on these Ghostface attacks, and apparently her and Sam know each other. I was like, wait, they know each other? And then they kind of explain a good enough plot excuse. They leave the police station, and once again, in Scream fashion, this happened in basically almost every movie, reporters are storming, and they're like, do you have an alibi for where you were? Do you, all of that stuff, and instead of just asking, like, how does it feel to be a victim, they're actually, like, saying, Sam, did you do it? Like, they think she did it. And the classic reporter, the one that nobody beats, Gale Weathers, returns to the scene. And this comes back to a classic scene in the original Scream where Sidney punches Gale because she made a book about her mother's death, which is scummy. Gale was very scummy in the first one, but that's why we love her. Sam tries to punch her because apparently Gale made a book about the last movie, and out of context or in context, no matter what, it's Gale. In the book, she said some unsavory things about Sam, like saying that she's a psychopathic killer, cold-blooded, and it ticked Sam off, and she tried to punch, but Gale's like, whoa, not so fast. And then Tara comes in and punches her, and actually hits her. That was funny. So, it was kind of a callback to that, except it was double. And they're basically mad at Gale. And Sam was like, I thought we were good. And then, no. And they storm off. Gale's not happy. Let's get into our next kill. So that therapist, I'm pretty sure it's Dr. Stone. I forgot his name. And he wakes up in the mornings in his very drippy PJs in his pretty luxurious house. He's getting a knock at the door from our little friend GF. And he sees his shadow, his costume through the window. Again, with this movie, no chill. They don't play around here. Ghostface blasts, because it's a window. It's like a very foggy window. I used to have one of these at my old house. Busts through the window, and he's pulling this dude, and there's like bars left, and he's pulling through him. He's hitting his face, and then he stabs him through the eye. And then we got this little scene. That we have where it's basically like Laura Mindy becomes the Randy again. She did this in the last movie, but she does it again. They're sitting at this public place. Mindy's standing up while everybody is sitting down, and she starts talking about, like, because last movie they talked about requels, and I even went over this. I think I kind of talked about this in my ranking, is that each Scream movie goes over different things. Scream talk about horror movies, Scream 2 talk about sequels, Scream 3 talk about trilogies, Scream 4 talked about remakes, Scream 5 was a requel. Well, not really, it wasn't a requel, but it basically talked about stuff like Halloween 2018, stuff like that. And Scream 6 is talking about sequels to the requel. Yes, it gets confusing. And stuff like Halloween Kills and stuff like that. So, and she's basically saying it has to be more bloody, more intense, and bigger cast, bigger budget. And she's completely right in all this, because Halloween Kills did all of that, except that movie was... ugh. And then she starts saying that OG characters and legacy characters are just there to have cameos, which is also mostly true. But then she gets on that those same legacy characters are no longer invulnerable, and they could be killed off at any time because they're trying to build a new cast, which is true. Very, very true. She starts getting on to who could possibly be suspects. And she's basically talking about, because she's saying that, like, she's excluding her, Chad, Sam, and Tara because they were survivors of the massacre that happened last year. So this leaves Quinn, Annika, and Ethan that she starts talking about. We're getting into when they're back at the apartment again. And this is when Chad and Tara are talking again, and Mindy's like, oh, can y'all just get together already? And that was kind of funny. And this is when the dialogue I was talking about, a little bit cheesy. Just a little bit cheesy. Chad starts coming up with this thing to where he says that they are the core four because they survived the original. So him, Sam, Tara, and Mindy, they're just trying to make Sam feel better because just now they saw on a news report after the therapist was killed that she is the main suspect. They think Sam is the prime suspect. She's basically being printed as, oh, she's doing it again. Now, they're not really saying that she's the prime suspect, but she's not confirmed. So they're not going to try and arrest her. But she's depressed because she thinks that nobody trusts her. Then we get onto this thing that's been going on throughout the movie so far since the first apartment scene when Quinn and Sam were talking. Next door, and like that, there's a window you can see. There's another room. There's this guy called Danny, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Danny. He's like this buff dude, bald dude, and, well, buzz cut, kinda. He's like a small beard, stuff like that, kinda scruffy. And he's basically like the love interest for Sam, and they have been, getting together, and stuff like that. And there's this dude, he's kinda there, it's just like the love interest, again. And this is when the popular girl's chilling in her room. I think she's on the phone or she's watching TV, I forgot. And this new jock, this new guy, is looking through and seeing her, and this is when things get insane again. Ghostface walks through, because this guy's aware of the situation, and this guy, so far, is pretty sympathetic. But Chad is not letting him get too close, because he doesn't trust him. Danny sees Ghostface walk into the room and stand above Quinn. It's like he's about to kill her. And this is when he's trying to like bang on the window because you see he sees the other window, the original four part like chilling and laughing and stuff at the table. They don't know what's about to happen. This is when he's like banging on the window. He opens the window and he's trying to yell at them, but he can't get to them. And he's trying to warn them that something's wrong. And I feel like at this part, like Ghostface leaves the room real quick, and then later on I think he enters back in, and then they're at the table, and then they hear scuffling stuff from Quinn's room, and they're like, oh, she's, but then they realize it's not fun, she's not happy, she's getting attacked. And this is when they rush to help, and the door's locked, and I don't know if it's locked, but basically being attacked. And then the door opens, and I think her body or someone else's body is thrown out of the room and actually hits somebody. Doesn't knock him out, but like it just hits somebody. She's covered in blood, but it's so fast you don't see any injuries. But there's blood, but it's so fast. And Ghostface starts attacking them again, and Annika Mindy's girlfriend gets attacked, and Mindy also gets attacked on the arm again, and because now she's being attacked again, and they're all freaking out, and they're trying to help each other though, and this is when Tara and Chad are actually kind of just saying GTFO because she don't want to deal with this. I think they left the apartment thinking everybody was behind them, but they left them by accident, while Sam, Mindy, and Annika are still in the room. And this is when Annika gets messed up. She gets, and this is unfortunately right in front of her lover, she gets stabbed in the gut. Oh my god, it is intense. It is not gory, but it's just, Jesus Christ. But she's still alive here. She's still alive. They're all like running to, I think the back room where Quinn was killed in, which leads to a bathroom, stuff like that, and they're like trying to hold the door. Eventually they get it locked, but there's a back door that's the back door of the room, and they quickly have to go to get somebody to shut the door while somebody's holding that one. So they shut it, but Ghostface comes in, they're pushing it back and stuff like that. I think Mindy gets hurt again, I'm not sure, and Annika's sitting on the bed while she's bleeding out, which is understandable. She can't do anything here. So where I'm talking about one of the stupid decisions where there's this character, Danny, that I really did not care for because he really does nothing in this movie, because he's still not calling the police. He's sitting in his apartment room. He sees him through the window. They open the door, and he has a ladder, and I'm like, who, like, he conveniently has a ladder in an apartment. He's like trying to put it across. It's a long enough ladder conveniently so that they can crawl across, stuff like that. And they're working on that, and Mindy's like putting a dresser in front of the. Sam does go, and Sam's scared, but she does make it through. So then Mindy's like, I think Mindy goes first for some reason. Yeah, Mindy starts going, like, she helps Annika up, and they're trying to get through. Mindy's going through faster because Annika's hurt, but Annika's still trying. And this is when Ghostface is huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf, and he finally gets the door open after Mindy made it through. Annika's like almost halfway. Ghostface is in the room, and I thought, like, is Ghostface gonna crawl on the ladder? Like, I mean, if so, just drop it. But I don't know why I was thinking that. They did something much more intense. He takes the ladder and starts shaking it like this, twisting it and stuff like that, and they're trying to hold it steady so that she doesn't get hurt. And unfortunately she can't hold on, and she falls off the ladder to her death. Which, it wasn't like a big splatter, nothing like Halloween Kills or anything, but her face hits a dumpster, and that was brutal. And she's dead, and this obviously is terrible, especially for Mindy. So I think they dropped the ladder, I'm not sure. And then Ghostface, I think, does his little knife cleaning thing and walks away. So the next day, everybody's very, very horrified from what just happened the night before. And Ethan, one of the new guys, shows up, and this is when Chad's like not taking anything from him. He's like, "Where were you?" Like he's suspecting him. And Ethan's like, you know, I had I think it's like called Econ. I forgot what he said it was. That's his alibi, stuff like that. And he's like, you know, and nobody trusts him. Like, even Minnie's like, get away. Like, they think that he could have done it. Quinn's dad shows up, and he's like, for 5 minutes or like a couple seconds, he shows that he's very, very mad and upset that his daughter just died. But then he gets over it, saying like, oh, we gotta kill this guy, stuff like that. And then Gail shows up, and this time Gail's like, hey, truce. Hey, let's catch this guy together. And this is when it's very funny, very hilarious, and I love this scene, where Tara goes, I'm sorry for punching you. And then Gail goes, no, you're not. And then Tara goes, no, I'm not. And like, they're just like, yeah, no, you're definitely not sorry. And then I think Kirby shows up, and basically what they're doing is they go to this, I guess, movie theater, basically a museum dedicated to the Ghostface killer. This is when they find out that the mask that was at the convenience store belonged to Roman Bridger, who was the killer in Scream 3. They even got a small little memorial to Dewey, who did die in the last movie, which broke my heart. We got a little very cool horror movie fan service scene where Mindy and Kirby are both sitting next to each other. They start geeking out about movies. What's the best Nightmare on Elm Street? And both go at the same time, the original. What's the best Friday the 13th movie? Mindy says Part 2, which is a good decision. And Kirby, which I personally agree with her, the final chapter. Part 4. Now they're doing this plan where they're in this van. They're gonna call the killer in broad daylight, and they're gonna try and see where he is, stuff like that, where he's gonna attack next. Very similar to Scream 2. And Minnie's like, nope, we ain't doing this. You know how Randy died? He got pulled into a van and killed, and that's a good point, except this doesn't happen here. This was a good twist. They say they're doing something very, very similar. Sam and Tara together here, though, so they're not separated while everybody else is there trying to trace the call, and this works. They get called by the guy, and they see a bunch of random people on the phone that could be suspicious, and none of these guys are the killer, though. None of them, obviously. And Kirby actually traces the call, and it's leading from Gail's place, because actually Gail got excluded from this investigation because she's not part of the police. And Kirby was like being snarky, saying like, sorry, you're not official. They're all rushing there to try and help her. So now Gail is with her boyfriend. That's it. The boyfriend picks up the phone and he goes, hey, it's the killer. Apparently that's what he said. She's like, oh, what do you want, huh?
Hello.
Let's play a game.
You know you're like the 10th guy to try this, right? It never works out for the dipshit in the mask.
But then it made me realize something, because the killer said that Gail was never called by the killer, and that is true. In the background, out of focus, we see the boyfriend picking up something, and then Ghostface comes behind and boom!
Maybe.
Then she knows something's wrong. I think the guy gets like thrown through the glass or something.
But there's never been one like me, Gail.
And she freaks out, and Ghostface starts running towards her, and obviously she ain't playing around. She runs, and eventually she gets back to this room, and she locks herself in, and there's a safe. She unlocks it and has a gun in it, and this is one of the dumbest mistakes, and this happened to Texas Chainsaw 3D. She shoots the guy while he's behind the door.
That's why I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
And obviously misses. Guy on the phone's like, oh, I think you shot me. He's acting injured. She opens the door and she's looking around. Guy comes out. She isn't able to shoot him. I'm pretty sure she gets stabbed here. But I'm pretty sure she's able to knock him out, actually. Yeah, she eventually pushes him and he falls through a glass table. This one, he's actually knocked out. She goes over to disarm him, and being smart, she steps on his hand that has the knife in it and grabs the knife so he can't stab her. Lifts it up to stab him, and I think he either had another knife or it was a piece of glass. Boom, she gets stabbed, and this is when I was like, no, they're gonna kill her. And push her on the ground and about to stab her in the eye, very close. Sam and them show up and they stop him, and I think they try and shoot him, either that or they did, but he gets away. The paramedics come in, they say they have a weak pulse. She's pulled off to the hospital. So they come up with an actual good plan. So they're gonna try and kill him here, because like, we're not gonna try and get this guy arrested, we're gonna try and kill him. And they talk to the cop, Quinn's dad, which the reason I keep calling him Quinn's dad is because I forgot his name. This guy is like, yeah, I'm in. They're going to the subway. They're trying to stick together because they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get killed. But there's so many people, and this is like on Halloween, I'm pretty sure. So there's people in costumes and stuff. And unfortunately, Mindy and Ethan get separated from the rest of the group. Then they start seeing people in Ghostface costumes.
Guys?
Mindy's standing up at the back subway cart while Ethan's just sitting there like wide-eyeing her. The lights go dark, and next thing you know, lights get more bright. The real Ghostface killer comes up right in front of her, covers her mouth, and stabs her in the gut while she slides down, and nobody knows this is happening because of all the people. The Ghostface guy gets off the train. Ethan sees that she's bleeding out, so he rushes over, and then everybody's like, Jesus Christ, and Ethan gets her out of the cart and everything, you know? And the paramedics show up pretty fast. And so now they're at the place where they're gonna set up this sting operation, basically. Chris Hansen him. This is when you start to realize Kirby's acting a bit off. Sam gets called by the cop, Quinn's dad. Quinn's dad says, do not trust Kirby. She's not actually an FBI agent. She's insane. She went mad a couple years ago. So this is when things start getting crazy. This is the final act. Doors are locked and it looks like Kirby's controlling the whole thing. Like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, no way they're gonna make Kirby be a killer. This is when Sam and Chad are together in a room. And finally, it shows that they want to be in a relationship. They kiss, yeah. And then Ghostface comes behind and stabs Tara in the back, which somehow they're able to get away because Chad's there, stops him, but she's able to run fine, which does not make sense. I mean, Dewey had something very similar happen to him in the first one. He was out. Sam is able to get the door open. They run. They all know what's going on, so they're running through the place. Chad's knocking things over to stop the guy. Chad's trying to knock him out, stuff like that. And then another one shows up. Another Ghostface guy shows up. And Sam and Tara are pulled away. And Chad's getting stabbed by both of them. This is when they run into the museum room with all the casings and the knives and stuff like that. Kirby shows up and tries to shoot them away. I think she misses, though, and they get away. And they're like, don't trust her. But Kirby's like covered in injuries and stuff like that. I actually thought her throat was slit for a second, but it's a necklace. And then the cop shows up and like, don't trust her, she's the killer, stuff like that. And they're trusting the cop and stuff like that. And Kirby's like, no, he's probably the killer. And then the Ghostface reappears behind the cop and starts running towards him. And Kirby's like, behind you. And then the cop shoots her. And the Ghostface doesn't attack the cops. So this is when we get the big reveal. The cop is one of the killers. Then another Ghostface appears right behind him. So there's 3 killers in this one. So not 2, but 3, which is good change up. That was insane. And this is when my mind was like, what? The one to the left is Ethan, the guy who was with Mindy. So he was able to make it over, which does make sense because this third act after Mindy was attacked was going on for a long time. Ethan reveals this mask here. This is your grandmother's, Mrs. Loomis, from Scream 2, which was the partner in crime to Mickey. And then the other one is revealed. And this is where the reveal kind of loses me a little bit. The last one is revealed to be Quinn, somehow, which they've faked a death here before Billy faked his death in the first one, but like, again, that was kind of questionable. Looking back, they could have done it. It just, like, really shocked me. But we find out she was the one who started the rumors that is going on online that makes Sam seem out to be the killer. So she's the one who started it. This is when they reveal the reason why they want her dead was because they are related to Richie. And they show that apparently this museum, all this stuff is Richie, and he made movies and stuff like that. He was a big stab fanatic, stuff like that. So things go insane. They're like circling them and they're trying to they're about to kill them. Now they're like saying put the mask on because they know that Billy was her father, and they're like, you be a killer. They're still trying to kill her though, but they're just like put the mask on because the cop shows that he had Billy's, and I'm pretty sure Quinn's was Stu. I'm pretty sure. And this is when everything seems to go bad and things are about to end. Kirby shoots up and shoots them, then they're able to get away. I'm not sure if he actually landed a shot. And Ethan pulls a low blow. Stabs her in the scar where she got stabbed in Scream 4, which is messed up. But Sam stops Ethan, but the knife's still in Kirby, so Sam says, hey, I'm gonna need this, pulls it out, and Kirby's like, mess him up. And she goes to town on him, like boom, 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 boom. But he's still alive, so he's down. They both get on the second floor, I'm pretty sure. I think they start getting shot at, and Tara almost falls off. So now Sam's like holding on to her, and then Ethan comes up and is like right below her, like, I'm gonna get you. And then Tara's like, let me go. Gives the knife to Tara. Tara jumps down and boom, stabbed him through the mouth. Yeah. Ugh. And you think he's dead. He's not yet. And this is when Quinn is already on the second floor, slowly getting close to Sam. Sam grabs a gun that was up there. I forgot how it got up there. And boom, shot her right in the head. Dead. Now she's actually dead. And the cop's up there. And she goes, you always said to aim for the head. And then she's about to shoot him. And the gun clicks. So, out of ammo. This little small scene kind of made me, it was cheesy. It's this very poor scene of them running towards each other like this. It's like that Moist Critical meme where he's like, get back here so I can chase you.
Get away from me! Why are you chasing me? Stop it! Get back here so you can get away from me!
Stuff like that. It literally looked like that. And they collide and they fall. Then it cuts to black. And it cuts to like a final scene of the guy waking up and she's gone and he gets called. He goes to the back and he still has a gun. He's shooting at all the Ghostface displays. And he's frustrated. Stuff like that. I forgot what she said. And she appears behind him. And boom, 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 boom. Tara walks in and is like, well, you're defenseless, so we don't have to I'm not a killer. You know, and Sam says, my father was a killer. I'm not. But then she goes, but you did mess with our family, so boom, and kills him. Which was a good call. He's just going to come back. So now they're sitting down. Ethan somehow is alive, and he comes up trying to attack them. And Kirby's still alive too and pushes something on him, which kills him. Finally. If they leave the place, Mindy shows up and's like, hey, I know one of the killers. And they're like, yeah, we know. And then she's like, oh, I missed it again. And this is when Tara's upset because Chad didn't make it. Surprise. He did. He's alive. Somehow rolled out on a stretcher and they're like core 4 and he's pulled into an ambulance and they're walking away. And then Sam takes a look at the Ghostface mask, her father's mask. And kind of sits there for a second and then Tara's like, hey, you coming? And then the movie goes to an end. Sorry if I forgot anything that happened. Please mention if you saw the movie already in the comments. If I forgot anything. This is already a long recording enough. That was Scream 6. So now I'm going to say where I put it. Number 6 is Scream 3 still. Big surprise to nobody. Diva is wanting to join us. Hi. How you doing, Diva? At number 5 is Scream 2. And like I said in my last short ranking and even kind of in the official ranking, here's Scream 3 right here. Scream 3 and then Scream 2 is all the way up here. So very different. Scream 2 is much better, but it's still meh. And this is where the ranking actually changed. Number 4 is going to be Scream 5. Scream 5, very, very good, but I feel that they were, because this was, Scream 5 was actually the first one without Wes Craven, who died in 2015, rest in peace, and the ones who took over now were actually experimenting with it, and they actually, I feel like they were playing it a little bit safe, in my opinion, for Scream 5, because they were experimenting with what they had. So yeah, it's number 4, Scream 5. Number 3 is going to be Scream 4. Scream 4 is literally the one I had to watch many times when I was younger, stuff like that, because it was the only one. It was on Netflix, and yeah, we didn't buy movies much, so yeah. The filter that they have on the camera looks like it's gasoline on it. No, that's bad. Very, very brutal, probably the goriest. And number 2 is New Kid on the Block, Scream 6. I know I did this with Scream 5 as well, but Scream 5 dropped a ranking for me. It felt like Scream. It's hard to say that. It felt great. Like, it was ironed out. Like, I think they did it very good. And obviously, nobody was surprised by this. Still the king. Number 1 is Scream 1. Nobody beats this. This is literally one of the best films of all time. She wanted to join me. I'm sorry. You go on to bed, okay? You can join me after this. But actually, I wanted to show y'all something. Scream is so good that now I officially own it. Now, I also own Scream 2 and 3, but we don't talk about this one here. Scream 2 is alright. This one, literally one of the best movies I've ever seen. But yeah, that was my review. Very long, I'm so sorry. I'll see you next time. Go see the movie for yourself. It's definitely recommended to watch in theaters. Always a big different experience, but I think you will enjoy it if you're a horror fan. But if you don't, that's okay. I think it's right. I recommend it though. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.